Hello, hello, hello. Come on in. The classroom is open. The classroom is open. Come on in. Come on in. Hi, everyone. This is English teacher Linda G. Today is Wednesday, July 16th, and it is 12:02 in the afternoon where I live in Ontario. I live in a small town or small city called Elliott Lake. And I say town because it's very small. There's only 11,500, but we are technically a city. It's nice to see you here. Nice to see you here. So, welcome. My name is English teacher Linda G, and I'm really, really happy to see you here today. And if it's your first time joining me, hello, and you can say hello in the chat, right? Even if you're watching the replay, I still want to see your hello, and I'd love to know where you're watching me from, right? Where are you watching the replay from? Maybe you are from Canada. Maybe you are in the United States. It's possible. But maybe you are in Turkey. I don't know, right? I don't know where you're from. So write it down in the chat box because I would love to be able to see where my viewers are from. So today we're continuing our monthly theme, right? So we are talking about negotiations and persuasion. But I'm also going to add some grammar to this as well. Now, we know that these skills are important skills for everyday conversations, whether you're asking for something at work, or maybe you're suggesting something to a friend, or maybe you're trying to convince someone to choose your idea. So today we're going to learn phrases to persuade and convince someone. We'll practice some prepositions that often go with the language, with negotiation language. And if you're watching live, you'll be able to use the chat to practice in real time. And of course, if you're watching the replay, you can also use the comments section. Now, before we start, please remember to go to my website, speakenglishwithconfidencenow.com, to get a copy of the practice list there. Every month I change the practice list. All right, let's start with some useful phrases when you want someone to choose your idea or to agree with your plan. And I'd like you to repeat them after me, and then I will show you how to use them. So number one, I highly recommend. I highly recommend. I highly recommend trying the new system. It's faster and easier. Number two, and I'll repeat it very slowly because I think I'm speaking too fast. Number two, the main idea of blank is the main advantage of blank is the main advantage of blank is, and here's the example, the main advantage of this option is the lower cost. And here's another example. The main advantage of signing the contract now is we'll be able to start our work right away. So the main advantage of blank is blank. Number three, if you consider the benefits, you'll see that, repeat, if you consider the benefits, you'll see that, and here's the example. If you consider the benefits, you'll see that this plan saves time and money. That's right. All right, number four. It makes sense to blank because. It makes sense to because, and here's an example. It makes sense to start early because we have the team ready, right? It makes sense to start early because we have the team ready, because we have the team ready to go. Because the team is ready to start. And number 5, you'll find that blank is a choice because you'll find that blank is a choice because, and here's the example, you'll find that this solution is a smart choice because it's flexible. You'll find that starting today is a smart choice because we'll be able to finish your work sooner than later. All right, now it's your turn. It's your turn. I'm going to give you a sentence, and I'd like you to finish the sentence. And I'll give you some time. So yes, even if you're watching the replay, do this. You could stop the video, of course, and then add the sentence. But if you're watching the live, you won't have the time to stop the replay, but you can listen. I'll pause. I'll stop talking to give you time. All right, here is this sentence. Here's the first sentence. I highly recommend. I highly recommend. How would you finish this sentence? I highly recommend. I highly recommend. All right, next one. The main advantage of blank is blank. The main advantage of blank is blank. All right. And you could write as many sentences as you want, all right? Even on the replay, you can do that. You can fill in the blanks with different ideas, with different words, different vocabulary. All right. Now we're going to talk about prepositions. Prepositions. These are small words and they're very important words because they connect the ideas together and they help us to sound more natural. So here are prepositions that are often used in negotiations and in persuasion as well. Persuasion language. Number 1, about. About. We talked about the proposal. We talked about the proposal. Another preposition is for, F-O-R, for, F-O-R, for. I argued for more flexible hours. I argued for more flexible hours. Number 3, with, W-I-T-H, with. She negotiated with the supplier. I negotiated with the supplier, with. Number 4, to. We spell this to, T-O, T-O. I explained the idea to my manager. I explained the idea to my manager. The next preposition is on, O-N, on. We agreed on the new deadline. We agreed on the new deadline. Number 6, in favor of. In favor of. For example, he voted in favor of the changes. Or we voted in favor of the changes. In favor of. And the last one we'll look at today is against. Against. They were against increasing the price. They were against increasing the price. Against. And I'd like you to spell against. Spell against. Put it in the chat room. All right? Spell against. Well, hello, Faye from Burford. Burford, Ontario. Wow, where is that? I know where it is, but I'd like you to tell us where it is. Where is Burford, Ontario? It's in the province of Ontario, right? For sure. That's in Canada. I think it's a few hours away from where I am, definitely. Is it close to Toronto? I mention these cities because some of our viewers might know where Toronto is, or maybe they've heard of Niagara Falls. Is it close to Niagara Falls? Well, thank you for being here, Faye from Burford. All right, let's continue. So we looked at some prepositions, and the last preposition was against, and I'd like you to write the word against in the chat box or in the comments section if you're watching the replay. All right, time for a little test, a little quiz. So I'm going to give you a sentence and I want you to type the missing preposition in the chat. All right, here we go. We agreed blank a lower price. Oh, I see. Just outside of Brantford. Thank you. It is about an hour and a half away from Niagara Falls. Thank you. So Burford is about an hour and a half away from Niagara Falls. Thank you for mentioning that because it's such a small town. I'm sure there are a lot of people that never heard of Burford. All right, so the sentence is, we agreed blank a lower price. A lower price. What is the preposition that goes in that blank? And the preposition is on. On. We agreed on a lower price. We agreed on a lower price. Here's another sentence for you. She negotiated blank the team about changes. She negotiated blank the team about changes. So what preposition goes there? What preposition goes there? She negotiated with the team about changes. She negotiated with the team about changes. All right, one more test question here. I argued blank starting earlier. I argued blank starting earlier. I'll give you a few seconds. I argued blank starting earlier. Now, if you're watching the replay, it would be a good idea for you to pause and write your answer and then listen, start the video again and then listen to the answer. So I argued blank starting earlier. I argued for starting earlier. I argued for starting earlier. Or we can also say I argued to start earlier. To start. But when we're using the ing form starting, we need to use for. We can't say, I argued to starting earlier. No, it doesn't sound right. It's for starting earlier. All right. Good work. Good work today. I know that this takes time, right? It takes time. You have to practice using these phrases. You have to practice using the correct preposition. I think this is where most of my students have difficulties with. It's to remember the preposition. So one thing that I always suggest is that you don't just remember the short word, the preposition. You want to remember phrases like to start, for example, for starting earlier, for example. We call those collocations, right? Collocations. So good work today. Now, I want you now to imagine that you're in a meeting, and you want your team to choose your idea, right? You're in a meeting and you want your team, the team members, to choose your idea. And I'll give you the sentence starter. And of course, I'd like you to type or to write down the full sentence in the chat. And of course, you can do that if you're listening to the replay as well. So let's try this one. If you consider the benefits, you'll see that. If you consider the benefits, you'll see that, and write the end of that sentence. And I'll give you another few seconds. You can always pause the video, of course, and start it when you're ready to continue. Okay, here's the next sentence. It makes sense to blank because blank. It makes sense to because blah, blah, blah. And write your answers in the chat and I'll review them. All right. Good work. Yes, 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 yes. Now remember to practice at the office, right? You can practice at the office. You can practice with your tutor, your teacher, and of course you can practice with me because I am a teacher, right? You can work with me. You can go to my website at speakenglishwithconfidencenow.com and you can sign up for a free trial. My calendar is right on my website, and you can book some time and we'll have a chat to see what your needs are. All right. Now let's review these phrases together before we end our call. So repeat them after me. I highly recommend. I highly recommend. The main advantage of blank is. The main advantage of is. If you consider the benefits, you'll see that. Finish that sentence. It makes sense to blank because blah, 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 right? It makes sense to reduce our costs because we'll probably make more money in the long run, for example. It makes sense to blank because. You'll find that blank is a smart choice because. You'll find that you'll find that signing the proposal now is a smart choice because it allows us to start our work earlier, for example. Just another example. And of course, let's review the prepositions. About, A-B-O-U-T. For, F-O-R. With, W-I-T-H. To, T-O. T-O. on, on, in favor of, so in, in, favor, favor, of, of, sounds like V, but it's not, it's an F. And against, I want you to write that word down, against, in the chat box. All right, before we finish, tell me in the chat which phrase will you practice this week? Which phrase or which phrases will you practice this week? You can write them in the chat box. Right? Because the more you practice at work, or the more you practice with some friends or with a teacher or with a tutor, the more you'll feel confident, the more comfortable you will be after some time. And of course, for more practice, you can also download my free practice sheet, tips. It's a tip sheet. You can find that at speakenglishwithconfidencenow.com. Right? It's full of useful expressions to help you speak more naturally at work and in life. And also some news. I've also just launched my 8-week workplace English program. That's perfect for professionals who want to speak clearly and confidently. And of course, even if you live in Canada, because there are a lot of immigrants that live in Canada. They might be new immigrants, or maybe they've been there for years and they want to improve their English. So this is perfect for you as well. So you can go to my website for details. I'll include the link below as well. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. I am your English teacher, Linda G. And I will see you next week, right? Same time, same place. Have yourself a wonderful day. Bonne journée. That's in French. Have a great day. And thank you for joining me, Faye. Thank you for joining me. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye now.